Resources form another border of the square which represents the playground of teams. Obviously, each team always needs to have resources to achieve the goal. But let's start by asking ourselves, what is the most important resource for a team? I will give you the answer in 1 minute, because certainly its components are the first and most important resources of a team. And on the other hand, within any organization, information, data and knowledge are peculiar and indispensable resources. But there are also other resources that are important to keep in mind, and beyond those already mentioned, one in particular is often the most important to be secured for success. What do I mean? Here we are with the answer. Enhancing what is already available is the crucial capacity for the success of teams. One of the classic mistakes that the team has to deal with is the failure to use a resource that, while being available, is not recognized. In effective teams, resources are really shared. They cease to be a specific property of someone, but belong to the group. That team is willing to pull together and share resources. Let's have a look at a real-life example. Imagine taking on a new staff member of a team and then realizing that an existing team member has the necessary skills. What a waste of company resources. When I was working in Spain, I remember a particular team member, a junior manager, who was completely capable of running the company, but was overlooked due to his young age. Fast forward 3 years and he is a managing director of a new technology startup. Again, enhancing what is already available is the crucial capacity for the success of teams. Effective teams have a high awareness of their resources and constraints or commitments. They are groups that are able to well understand working conditions and situations to properly represent the reality in which they are immersed. However, the analysis of resources and constraints or commitments can take on a strongly ambivalent connotation. Let's take another example. Let's focus our attention on the people who make up the team. Think about your team. Each of them is a fundamental resource for the skills and motivations he or she possesses, but can be considered at the same time a constraint, as they bring all of their humanity made of incompetence, resistance to change and propensity to conflict. In effective teams, therefore, people are less defensive, and the ability to develop a true sense of closeness reverberates positively to pull resources together. The more the team will be able to appropriate and manage the resources of individuals and to master them, the more they will assist in the emergence of other resources like interpersonal trust, positivity of relational climate, motivation to collaborate, etc., etc., etc. A somewhat multiplication effect of resources. In a sort of chain reaction, a fundamental step in this process is the transition from technical resources to human resources. So, the sharing, pooling and availability of information produces confidence, the adequacy of the work tools produces motivation, the comfort of spaces produces climate, and so on. I know that it seems quite complicated, but in a nutshell, it's an illusion to think that transforming a group into an excellent team is simply an appeal built on belonging or challenge sentiment, a hierarchy-based order, or a threat based on some form of blackmail, more or less explicit. Do you recognize yourself and your company in what I have just mentioned? Right, let's get started with resources. So now I will briefly describe the principal resources a team can use and, if effectively valued, can help the group grow to become an excellent team? Well, of course, each of the following points may give rise to endless insights, studies and discussions, but we did decide to use these videos as a sort of map or guide for excellent teams, didn't we? So, the first resource is people. Yes, such a discovery, isn't it? But I will never get tired of saying that the most obvious resource available to a team is its different components, each with their own skills and experiences that will define the type and quality of the contribution offered to the group's work. Sometimes within teams it can be difficult to see the true skills owned by the different components just to have the illusion of promoting a culture of equality. How do we get around this? What is new here? Also, in a provocative way, effective teams also develop a culture of difference that is based on the ability of each to present themselves for their own skills without fear of being judged, envied or boycotted, to offer to the group their specific manner of working. The second one is information. To make the information real resources, the team is called upon to assume an attitude towards active management. Managing information is, in this sense, an indispensable action that the team is called to interpret. Keep in mind these 8 questions. What do we need to know? What do we know? What kind of information do we have? Which information do we need in relation to the task we are addressing? What information do we lack and so we have to commit ourselves to recover it? How should information be linked in order to proceed with our work? How do we store the information? How do we facilitate the retrieval of information? Right, the third one is setting. The setting in which the team operates includes aspects of place, furnishing and non-technical work tools. These are elements that can be extremely significant in reference to team outcomes. Selecting the right contemporary office furniture which reflects your company's true brand values and embraces smart working practices plays a critical role. This aspect can also make the difference in enhancing employee performance, creativity, well-being, culture and ethos. The next one is time. Sometimes time is perceived as a resource, but most of the time as a constraint. In any case, time structures and articulates the life of the team without any possibility of escape. Time is absolutely constitutive of a group's work. The most effective teams are able to activate intentional control strategies in order to manage the time available, while the least effective groups qualify for a widespread lack of time. And the last one is organization. The organization in which the team works is the last type of resource and constraint. On the one hand, the organization is considered a resource or a constraint for its power to influence the motivation and the sense of belonging of individuals. If the organization takes care of the group feeling sensitive to its needs, then the team feels recognized, and individuals will be more likely to recognize themselves in the group. Conversely, if people feel abandoned, the group will feel disfigured and individuals will be less available to feel attached to it. Right, that is all for resources. In the next video, it will be time to talk about coordination and something more. So, until next time, see you. Ciao!